I died choking on my own vomit in a sterile hospital bed, the morphine drip blurring the edges of betrayal into a final, bitter haze. The last thing I remembered was Jake's smug face across the boardroom table. His promotion announcement echoing like a gunshot while mine was a demotion to some bullshit compliance role. All because I'd overseen irregularities that weren't mine. But then, like a glitch in the universe's cruel code, my eyes snapped open to the hum of my alarm clock in my old Chelsea apartment. 3 years earlier, my heart pounding not from failure, but from the raw, electric fury of a second chance. It was June 15th, 2022, the day before the quarterly earnings call that would unravel everything. I bolted upright, sheets tangled around me, staring at my reflection in the vanity mirror, 29-year-old Avery Hale, CFO of Apex Dynamics, with the same sharp bob haircut and power suit pressed on the chair. My hands trembled as I touched my neck, feeling the pulse that had flatlined in that future hell. This wasn't a dream. I'd looped back, armed with every dirty secret, every whispered promise broken. Jake Harlan, my protégé-turned-traitor, and Victoria Lang, the CEO who'd played me like a pawn. They thought they could bury me alive under a mountain of cooked books. But not this time. This time, I'd bury them. The shower scalded my skin as memories flooded in, unbidden and vicious. In my first life, I'd built Apex from a scrappy fintech startup into a Wall Street darling, crunching numbers that turned pennies into billions. Jake had been my right hand, all boyish charm and late-night strategy sessions over takeout Thai. "You're the brains, Ave," he'd say, eyes gleaming with that false loyalty. Victoria, the iron-fisted founder, had handpicked me for CFO because I was relentless, the kind of woman who didn't flinch at firing dead weight or negotiating hostile takeovers. But power corrupts, and Apex's growth had a shadow. Off-the-books deals with shady offshore accounts, funneled through shell companies to inflate our stock price. I discovered it 6 months before the crash, emails from Victoria's personal server, authorizing transfers that smelled like fraud. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. Handle it quietly, Avery. Or handle the fallout. I chose loyalty, like a fool. I buried the evidence, rerouted the audits, told myself it was for the greater good, the jobs, the innovation, the American dream we'd all clawed for. Jake knew. Of course he did. He was the one who'd leaked the irregularities to the board, framing me as the mastermind while he and Victoria painted themselves as shocked whistleblowers. My demotion came swift, from corner office to cubicle hell. My name dragged through SEC filings like yesterday's trash. The stress cracked me, panic attacks in elevators, whiskey neat at dawn. Then the accident, a faulty brake line on my Audi, courtesy of a mechanic with ties to Jake's cousin. Or so the cops ruled it, until the hospital mix-up with the wrong meds sealed it. Betrayal tasted like rust in my throat, even now. Dressed in my favorite charcoal Armani, I strode into Apex's Midtown headquarters that morning, the glass lobby reflecting a city that hadn't yet chewed me up. Employees nodded deferentially, morning. MS. Hail, and I forced a smile. But inside, I was a live wire. My first move, coffee with Jake in the executive lounge. He was there, Ty Askew, scrolling his phone with that perpetual half-grin. "Ave, you look like you just won the lottery." "Rough night. More like a premonition," I said, sliding into the booth across from him. His eyes flicked up, curious but guarded. God. He was good, 27. Ivy League polish. The kind of guy who could charm a jury or a widow. In my old life, I'd mentored him, shared war stories from my Goldman days.
Now.
Every word was a chess move. Earnings call tomorrow. You prep the slides. He leaned back, sipping his latte. Locked and loaded. Vic's gonna love the projections. 20% growth. Baby. Vic. Already so chummy. I remembered the board meeting where he'd called her that, right before dropping the bomb on me. Hey. Speaking of. She mentioned something about restructuring finance. You hear anything? There was the probe. I sipped my black coffee, letting the bitterness ground me. Restructuring?
Like what?
Demoting the golden goose. His laugh was too quick, too forced. I pressed. Jake, level with me. If there's smoke, I need to know before it chokes us all. He hesitated, that telltale micro-twitch in his jaw. Nah, it's nothing. Just Vic being Vic, always optimizing.
Lies.
In the future, I'd seen his emails. Avery's too clean. We pin the offshore crap on her. I slide right into CFO. Victoria's reply, do it. She's expendable. Expendable. After I'd covered for her Ponzi-light schemes with venture capitalists from Dubai. By noon, I was in my office. Door locked. Laptop open to the encrypted drive I'd forgotten about in this timeline. It was all there, the original ledgers. Unaltered. Showing the $50 million siphoned into Victoria's personal innovation fund. She'd used it for everything. Yacht parties in the Hamptons. Bailing out her ex-husband's failing winery. Jake's cut? A beach house in Malibu. Deeded quietly. My stomach twisted. I'd taken the fall to protect the company, but they'd left me to rot. My career a sacrificial lamb for their greed. The decision hit me like vertigo. Expose it now, or play the long game. Rushing to the SEC would tank the stock overnight. It cost thousands of jobs, mine included, probably, in some ironic twist.
No.
I needed leverage. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd start small, anonymous tips to the auditors already scheduled for next quarter. Accelerate them. Make Jake sweat.
And Victoria.
I'd make her watch her empire crack from the inside. That afternoon, I met with our external audit firm, Deloitte reps in from Jersey. Gentlemen, I said, sliding a USB across the table, I've got preliminary concerns on the Q2 filings. Offshore reconciliations look off, might want to deep dive sooner than planned. Their lead, a grizzled vet named Harlan, irony noted, raised an eyebrow. MS.
Hail.
This could trigger a full review. You sure? Dead sure, I replied, the word hanging heavy. By evening, I'd planted seeds, a quiet word to a board member I trusted, planting doubts about Jake's innovative accounting. Dinner was solo at Le Bernardin. Lobster thermidor and a glass of Sancerre, toasting silently to the storm I'd unleash. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of twisted metal and Jake's laughter morphing into sirens. Week 2 blurred into calculated chaos. Jake cornered me in the elevator one morning, reeking of cologne and desperation. Ave, what's with the auditor push? Vic's pissed, says it looks like you're gunning for her. His eyes darted. Pupils dilated. Paranoia suited him. I feigned innocence, stepping off on my floor. Just doing my job.
Jake.
Due diligence keeps us out of jail. He grabbed my arm. Too tight. Too familiar. Don't fuck this up for us. We're a team. Remember?
Us.
There it was. The knife twist. I wrenched free. Voice ice.
Team?
Last I checked. Teams don't cook books. His face paled. Confirmation enough. That night, I hacked his email. Old Goldman tricks. A backdoor I'd left in the system for emergencies. Jackpot. Drafts to Victoria. Avery's onto us. Accelerate the frame job. My reply. Spoofed from an anonymous server. She's bluffing. Bury it deeper. Let them chase ghosts. The tension ramped up like a thriller score. Board meetings turned into minefields, Victoria's gaze lingering on me, sharp as a stiletto. Avery, your numbers are optimistic. Auditors breathing down our necks already. I'd nod serenely, quoting gap clauses that boxed her in. Jake started skipping our coffees, shadows under his eyes. Good. Let the guilt gnaw. But controversy brewed in me too. One night, alone with a bottle of Glenfiddich, I stared at the USB. Expose it all, and I'd be the hero, or the villain who tanked a unicorn. Apex employed 5,000 souls, from coders in Silicon Valley to call centers in Ohio. My old self would have protected them. This self? She whispered revenge louder than reason. I drafted the whistleblower letter, fingers hovering over send. Instead, I leaked a snippet to Bloomberg offshore wires. No names. The stock dipped 3% at open. Victoria called me into her office. All faux concern. Darling, this leak? It's suicide for us. Or salvation, I shot back. Her laugh was brittle. You're playing with fire, Avery. Step in line, or get burned. That was the line, the one that ignited me. I stepped out, heart hammering, and hit send on the full audit acceleration request. Deloitte confirmed, full team inbound, 2 weeks early. The fallout hit like a freight train. Jake confronted me in the parking garage. Rain slicking the concrete. His umbrella forgotten. You bitch. This is you, isn't it? Ruining everything. He lunged, fist raised not to hit, but close enough to taste the fear. I sidestepped, knee connecting with his gut. He doubled over,
Gasping.
You think you're untouchable? Vic's got dirt on you too from Goldman. That insider tip you buried? It's coming out. Goldman.
Shit.
In my first life, I'd covered a minor leak to protect a mentor. Nothing like Victoria's empire of lies, but enough to smear. My hands shook as I walked to my car, the Audi purring to life. Controversy indeed, fighting dirty now. Or walk away clean.
No.
I'd burn it all if I had to. As the days ticked down to the audit, secrets clawed their way up. I found Victoria's hidden server in the basement archives. Dusty tapes from her startup days. Not just fraud, extortion. She'd blackmailed early investors with fabricated affairs. Built Apex on threats. And Jake, his cousin the mechanic, hired gun for hire. My accident wasn't random, it was premeditated, covered as a hit and run. Rage crystallized into plan. I'd testify, but on my terms, controlled leaks, timed perfectly to gut them without gutting the company. The board convened an emergency session, auditors in tow. Victoria arrived late, composed in Chanel, Jake trailing like a whipped dog. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, voice steady as the Hudson. I've uncovered discrepancies that demand immediate action. Slides projected. wire transfers, emails, shell entities. Gasps rippled. Victoria's face drained of color. This is fabrication. Avery's deranged. Deranged? I cut in, clicking to Jake's confession draft. Or just thorough? The room erupted shouts. Demands for resignations. Jake bolted for the door. But security, tipped off by me, waited. Victoria lunged across the table, nails raking my arm. You ungrateful whore. I made you. You broke me, I hissed, blood welling under silk. Now watch it break you. Handcuffs clicked as SEC agents swarmed the lobby, tipped by my final anonymous call. Victoria screamed obscenities. Jake blubbered, please.
Me?
I stood amid the chaos, the city lights mocking from the windows, tasting victory like ash. But as they led her away, she twisted, eyes locking on mine. You think this ends it? Check your own grave, Avery. We all have sins. The twist landed like a sucker punch that night. In my apartment, bottle in hand. A knock, urgent, frantic. Detective Ruiz from NYPD, the same one who'd investigated my death in the other life. MS.
Hail.
We pulled Jake Harlan's phone records. Calls to a burner. And your name on a hit list. But that's not why I'm here. He slid a file across my coffee table. Autopsy photos, not mine, but a Jane Doe from 3 years prior. Strangled. Dumped in the East River. Face blurred. But the locket. My mother's. Lost in that accident. We think Harlan and Lang covered it up. You were next. My knees buckled. The betrayal wasn't just corporate, it was personal. Victoria had targeted me from the start, using Jake to seduce and sabotage, all to silence the one accountant who'd seen too much. My loyalty? A noose I tied myself. Dawn broke gray over Manhattan as I signed the statement, the weight lifting like fog. Apex survived, restructured under new blood. My name cleared, even floated for CEO. But victory? It echoed hollow. I'd saved lives, exposed monsters, but lost the illusion of trust. In this second life, revenge wasn't catharsis, it was reckoning. And as I walked into the sunrise, resume in hand, I wondered, was I the hero? Or just the last villain standing? The months after the boardroom implosion blurred into a fever dream of depositions and headlines. Apex scandal, CFO hero or House of Cards, screamed the Post. My face splashed across every feed from CNBC to TikTok true crime pods. I holed up in my apartment, blinds drawn against the paparazzi drones buzzing like angry hornets. Sleep was a luxury, chased away by nightmares of twisted wreckage and Victoria's venomous whisper. Check your own grave. Ruiz's revelation gnawed at me. That Jane Doe? Elena Vasquez. A junior analyst I'd fired 2 years back for incompetence. In truth, she'd stumbled on the same offshore rod I'd later buried. Victoria had her silenced, strangled in a WeWork bathroom, body dumped like trash. And the locket? Stolen from my desk as a warning. Planted on Elena to throw off the scent. Jake's burner calls? To a fixer in Queens. The same one who'd tampered with my brakes. They'd planned my murder as cleanup, as casual as deleting an email. I should have felt vindicated, but controversy festered. Leaking to the press? I timed it for maximum damage, ensuring Victoria's arrest streamed live on Fox Business. Heroic whistleblowing. Or vengeful sabotage. The board offered me interim CFO. A fat severance if I stayed quiet on the personal matters. I took the gig, but every signature felt like blood ink. Employees whispered in the halls, "Avery's the Avenger," some with awe, others with side-eye. Was I saving Apex? Or dooming it to Glassdoor hell? My first official act, purging the rot. I flew to the valley, meeting with coders who'd idolized Victoria's disruptor vibe. She wasn't innovating. I told them over vegan burritos in a co-working space that smelled like patchouli and desperation. She was stealing your equity. Confessions poured out, forced NDAs, threats of blacklisting. One kid, barely 20, handed me a USB of deleted Slack threads, Jake grooming interns for favors, Victoria signing off on NDAs that bordered on hush money for assaults. The decisions piled up, each grayer than the last. Fire the enablers? I did. 70 heads rolling in a single HR bloodbath. Controversial? Unions picketed the lobby, chanting Avery's purge on loop. But I leaked the evidence to ProPublica, assault claims substantiated, payoffs documented. Public outrage flipped the script. Avery exposed trended, with blue-check feminists hailing me as Me Too's corporate Joan of Arc.
Inside,
I retched. These weren't chess pieces, they were people. Families shattered by my blade. Jake's trial was the real circus. Federal court in Foley Square. Summer heat turning the marble halls into a sweatbox. I testified, voice steady under the fluorescent glare, recounting every email, every late-night threat. His lawyer, a slick ambulance chaser from Brooklyn, grilled me. MS.
Hale.
Isn't it true you covered these irregularities yourself? Complicit, one might say. The jury leaned in, pens poised. I met their eyes, housewives from Queens, tech bros from Brooklyn, and owned it.
Yes.
I chose silence to protect jobs. My mistake. Theirs was murder. Gasps rippled.
Jake,
in his ill-fitting suit, glared daggers from the defense table. During recess, he cornered me in the courthouse bathroom, guards distracted by a fake spill. You think you're clean? That Goldman tip-off. I know the SEC file number. One call, and your cellmates. Fear spiked. Primal. But this Avery? She danced with worse. I leaned in, breath hot on his ear. Make the call.
Jake.
And I'll make sure your beach house deed shows up in Discovery, bought with blood money. He recoiled, face crumpling. Later, the jury deliberated 18 hours, convicting on conspiracy and wire fraud. Manslaughter hung, but the judge threw the book, 25 to life. As marshals let him out, he mouthed, "This isn't over." But it was. For him. Victoria's turn came in fall, a spectacle in Manhattan subcourt. She played the victim card hard, tearful monologues about rising above as a female founder in a boys' club. Avery was jealous. She sobbed to the cameras, Botox uncrinkling just enough for sincerity. She fabricated it all for the throne. Her lawyers subpoenaed my Goldman records, dredging up that old insider whisper, a tip on a merger I'd passed to a buddy, saving him a bundle. Petty? Yes. A criminal?
Borderline.
The press feasted, whistleblower or wolf in heels. I could have lawyered up, spun it as youthful error. Instead, I preempted, full confession in a Times op-ed, my silence, my sins. It went viral, Oprah.com repost, CNN panel invite. Avery Hale owns her flaws, the anchor gushed. But owning it carved me hollow. Nights blurred into therapy sessions with a Park Avenue shrink who charged like a hitman. Revenge isn't closure. Avery. It's addiction. Bullshit. It was justice. American style. Raw. Litigious. Unapologetic. Twists kept coming. Sharper each time. Midway through Victoria's trial, a juror, number 7, a Wall Street vet, approached me post-session, coffee in hand. MS.
Hale.
Off record? I worked with Lang at her first startup. She didn't just steal funds, she tanked it deliberately. Bankrupted families to buy low. His tip led to buried bankruptcy filings. Victoria's origin story wasn't bootstraps. It was arson on competitors' reps. Forged docs to scoop distressed assets. I funneled it to the DA, anonymous. Of course. The jury flipped overnight, deliberating 4 hours. Guilty on all counts: fraud, extortion, accessory to murder. Sentence? 30 years. No parole. As she was cuffed, diamond tennis bracelet glinting, she spat. You'll rot alone, Avery. Power like mine? It haunts. Haunt it did. Apex thrived under my watch. Stock rebounded 40%. Acquisitions in green tech that actually innovated. But success tasted like cardboard. Friends drifted. The ones who'd known pre-scandal me whispered about that edge in your eyes. Dates?
Disaster.
A hedge fund bro at a gala. Heard you took down the queen. Hot. I ghosted him mid-appetizer. Intimacy required trust. And mine was ash. The real gut punch landed Christmas Eve. Snow blanketing Central Park like a lie. Ruiz called. Hale? We got a lead on your accident. Mechanic flipped, sang like Sinatra.
But
there's more. He emailed files. Audio from Jake's cell. Smuggled out. His voice. Ragged. Vic. If I talk, you go down. But Avery? She knew about Elena before I did. Pushed me to cover it.
lies.
Or was it? Memory fractured. Had I suspected Elena's fate? Buried that too? My shrink called it survivor's revisionism. I called it poison. The holidays passed in a blur of eggnog and existential dread. New Year's. I stood on my balcony, fireworks exploding over the skyline, toasting the void. Second chance? More like a mirror, reflecting every crack. Spring brought renewal. Or its illusion. Apex's annual gala at the Met. Chandeliers dripping light like honeyed lies. I arrived in emerald silk, arm linked with a new board chair, divorced tech mogul. Kind eyes. No skeletons I could unearth. Toasts rang. To Avery Hale, guardian of integrity. Laughter bubbled. Champagne fizzed. But as the string quartet swelled, a shadow detached from the crowd. Elena's sister, Maria, face etched with grief. You got justice, she said, voice a whisper shout over the violins. But Elena? She was 24. Dreamed of Broadway. Your protection of Apex killed her dreams first. Her words landed like shrapnel. I'd signed her pink slip, told myself it was business.
Now?
Complicity stared back. I pulled her aside, into a gilded alcove smelling of orchids and regret. Maria?
I
didn't know.
lie.
I'd suspected whispers. Ignored them for the quarterly close. She softened, marginally. Then make it mean something. Donate her scholarship, full ride. No strings. I did. And more. Apex Foundation overhaul. Funds for whistleblower protections. Women's shelters in Elena's name. Controversial still, Critics called it white guilt PR, but it stitched something in me. Not whole, but scarred over. By summer, the mogul, call him Theo, proposed over lobster rolls in the Hamptons. Your fire, Avery. Burn with me? I said yes. Not for love, but possibility. Our wedding was small. Civil, Central Park. Under oaks, whispering secrets. Vows exchanged. Rings simple gold. That night, in a suite overlooking the reservoir, he traced my scars, not the visible ones, but the invisible. What's the real story? I told him. All of it. Death. Rebirth. The gray in between. He listened, didn't flinch. Then write the next chapter. The second life settled into rhythm, a tense waltz between triumph and tremor. Theo and I built a hybrid existence, his Palo Alto ranch for weekends, my Manhattan pulse for the grind. Apex morphed under my helm, ethical AI audits, transparent supply chains, stock climbing like ivy on a brownstone. Media dubbed me the Reckoner, a title that chafed like ill-fitted heels. Hero worship? It isolated. At Davos, Klaus Schwab cornered me. Avery, your model, disruptive accountability. TED Talk. I demurred, jet-lagged and hollow. Disruption was my curse, not my crown. But ghosts lingered, unquiet. Victoria's appeals dragged, each filing a barb. New evidence, hail coerced testimony. Bullshit. But it stirred mud. Jake. From Sing Sing. Pen letters smuggled via a cousin. Postmarked Queens. Ave. I was her puppet. Forgive? Visit. I burned them in the fireplace. Flames devouring pleas like sins. Forgiveness? A luxury for the unbroken. Controversy reared anew in fall. Boardroom showdown redux. A whistleblower, irony's gift, leaked internal memos. My purge had overlooked a mid-level exec, Harlan Tate, who'd greenlit Jake's dirtier deals.
Tate.
Silver-haired shark from my Goldman era, sued for defamation, claiming I'd framed him to consolidate power. The suit hit like monsoon. Headlines screamed, Reckoner's revenge? Investors jittered. Stock dipped 8%. Theo urged settlement. Cut losses?
Love.
You're human. Human? I was a machine now. Gears grinding on vendetta. Trial loomed, but I pivoted, public audit of my own decisions. Deloitte back in the hot seat. If I'm the villain, I told the board. Voice echoing off walnut panels. Prove it. Findings dropped. Oversights. Yes, stress from the scandal had blinded me. No malice. Tate folded. Settlement sealed with NDA. But the scar? PR nightmare. Late-night Fox segments. Is Avery Hale Apex's savior or tyrant? I watched from bed. Theo snoring softly, wondering if tyrant fit. The twist that cracked me wide? Elena's scholarship gala. Spring bloom in Lincoln Center. Maria keynote. Radiant in sapphire. Crediting Apex for 10 girls' dreams funded. Applause thundered as she hugged me on stage, whispering, Elena's proud. Lie or lifeline. Post-ceremony. Champagne flutes clinking. A stranger approached 50s. Rumpled suit. Eyes like chipped flint. MS. Hale, Frank Vasquez. Elena's father. My flute froze midair. He'd been absent in Ruiz's files, deported years back, undocumented from her mom's El Salvador days. I read about the trial. Victoria. She promised to help Elena's papers if she stayed quiet. I believed her. His voice cracked, accent thick as heartbreak.
But you?
You fired my girl. Said she was unreliable. Now you play saint.
Guilt tsunami.
I'd known Elena's status, flagged in HR. Ignored for optics. No illegals on the diversity report, Tate had joked. I'd laughed. Filed it away.
Now.
Frank's stare stripped me bare. I came back for her grave. Found justice instead. But tell me, worth it? I drove him to the cemetery that night. Wipers slashing rain like accusations. Elena stone. Simple marble. Wildflowers wilted. We stood silent. Mud sucking at our shoes. No, I admitted finally. Not worth a life. But I'll make it right. Dawn found me wiring funds, immigration lawyers for Vasquez families, Apex lobbying for DACA renewal. Controversial? Hell, GOP donors bolted. Branding me woke warrior. Theo stood firm. This is you? Avery. Flawed fire. Summer solstice brought the ultimate reckoning. Anonymous package, no return. Just a VHS tape, grainy. Labeled truth. Theo cued it on the flat screen. Our ranch, quiet save for coyote howls. Footage flickered. My death night. Hospital room. Not accident me. Intubated. Monitors beeping. Then Jake. In scrubs stolen? Injecting a line. For Vic, he mutters to camera. Phone propped. Avery knew too much. Lights out.
Horror rooted me.
Premeditation.
Captured.
But the timestamp? Post-emotion. Yes, but pre-crash. I'd looped back before this.
Meaning?
In this life. It hadn't happened.
Yet.
The tape was a warning or a plant. Ruiz confirmed. Jake's doing? Smuggled pre-arrest. He's unraveling.
Hail.
Thinks you'll fold. I didn't. Instead, I visited Sing Sing. Plexiglass between us. His face gaunt through the haze. Why send it? I demanded. Receiver cold in my grip. Proof, he rasped. Vic made me. But you. In the other world, you let it happen. Chose the company over Elena. Delusion? Or echo of my buried doubts. He leaned close. Truce. Ave. Testify for my appeal, say I was coerced. We both walk freer. Temptation slithered. Appeal granted. He'd spill more on Victoria, her network. Untouchables in D.C. Power. But cost? His freedom. My soul. I hung up without answer. Driving back through Adirondack dusk. Mind a storm. Crisis peaked at Apex's holiday fete. Rockefeller glowworming through windows. Theo proposed a toast. To new beginnings. Glasses raised, then shattered by sirens. Fed swarmed. Raid on Tate's holdouts. Tipped by.
Me? No.
Jake's appeal hearing leaked his tape online. Viral inferno. Reporters mobbed. MS.
Hail.
Complicit or cleared. I faced them. Flashbulbs searing. Cleared? None of us are. But accountability? That's the American way. Messy. Merciless. Ours. Inside. Twist uncoiled. Jake's otherworld rant. He'd glimpse my loop. Paranoia. Or parallel truth. Didn't matter. Feds hauled Tate. Victoria's network crumbled. Indictments raining like confetti. New Year's Eve. Theo and I on our deck. Stars pricking the Sierra sky. Fire pit crackled. Marshmallows toasting golden. Second chances, he murmured, arm around me. What now? I gazed at the flames, seeing faces, Victoria's snarl, Jake's plea, Elena's smile. Live it, I said. Not perfect. Just true. We kissed as midnight boomed, resolutions unspoken. Revenge had forged me, but grace? That was the real rebirth. In the end, it wasn't happily ever after, no tidy bow on betrayal's corpse. Apex soared. Scholarships bloomed, but scars itched like phantom limbs. I mentored now not protégés, but whistleblowers, teaching them to fight without falling. Controversy? It followed, a shadow tax on truth. But in quiet moments, coffee steaming on a Chelsea windowsill, I felt it, peace, fragile as first light. I died once, betrayed and broken. Lived twice, vengeful and vigilant. And in this life, I chose mercy not for them,
but me.
The city hummed below, endless and unforgiving. America, land of second acts, where demotions backfire into dynasties, auditors unearth empires' graves. And me, Avery Hale, no longer victim or villain, just survivor, scripting the sequel.